Ah yes, the old cool Impression sunrise. But what is very amusing about it that makes people call it the cradle of Impressionism, one of the most famous and iconic art movements? In today's video, we will unreveal the secret, so stay along. Done in 1872 by the famous French artist Claude Monet, who had multiple other masterpieces, most of them belong to his Impressionist years, as he had a key role in establishing the movement and is considered by a lot of people as the best Impressionist of them all. But my focus is not gonna be on you today, Monsieur Monet, but rather on your creation, Impression Sunrise, which is in it depicted the harbor of Le Havre at sunrise. The two small rowboats in the foreground and the red sun being the focal elements, and in the middle ground more fishing boats are included, while in the background on the left side of the painting are clipper ships with tall masts, and behind them are other misty shapes that are not trees but smokestacks of packed boats and steamships, while on the right side in the distance you can see other masts and chimneys silhouetted against the sky. In order to show these features of industry, Monsieur Monet eliminated existing houses on the left side of the jetty, leaving the background unobscured. Come here, I'll tell you a secret. Impression Sunrise has a less famous sister. Basically, it's dark mode, and unlike its famous sister, it's not listed on the official website as a masterpiece. The composition is dominated by the play of light and color, as the sun's rays scatter across the surface of the water and the sky. And characterizing the painting is of course the brush strokes that are loose and rapid, capturing the fleeting effects of light and movement. The overall scene is somewhat hazy and indistinct to create an impression of the scene rather than a realistic depiction of it. But what gives you the feeling of the haziness in the canvas, you may ask? Demanding an answer like a certain French gourmet chef we all know. And Monsieur Monet here replies to you with the name of his technique that he is using here: broken color, which often applied in small distinct strokes. This technique was famous between the Impressionists. Most famous of them who used it a lot is Renoir in a fair share of his paintings too. And the most alike of them is Picking Flower, which is in it... Ouch! What were we talking about again? Oh yes, merci Monsieur Monet. Your painting, Impression Sunrise, yes. Yeah, so the broken color technique the painting uses allowed the viewer's eyes to blend the colors optically rather than relying on traditional blending. This approach captured the shifting quality of light more accurately and gave the painting its distinctive vibrant appearance, giving a sense of immediacy and freshness of the morning by the sea. The sense probably Monsieur Monet felt and wanted to transition to us through this masterpiece. What? Oh, okay. I'll go back. What do you mean by I better go? So, a painting isn't just a painting after all, is it? Yeah, a painting still has a lot to unfold just after analyzing its colors and techniques. So, a step back and let's take the time machine and head back to the 19th century. In the 19th century, the art world was dominated by the academic tradition, which emphasizes precise realism, historical and mythological subjects, and carefully executed compositions. However, a group of artists including Monsieur Claude Monet, Camille Pissarro, Edgar Degas and Pierre-Auguste Renoir began to challenge these norms. They focused on capturing the fleeting effects of light, color and atmosphere in their work. This group would come to be known as the Impressionists. As for Impression Sunrise, it was created during a pivotal moment in Monet's career. In 1872, he was living in Le Havre, a port city in Normandy, France. One morning, while observing the sunrise over the harbor, Monet was struck by the interplay of light, water, and atmosphere. He was captivated by how the rising sun transformed the scene into a symphony of colors, and he was compelled to capture this immediate and transitory experience on canvas. But Monet's goal at that moment wasn't to create a meticulously detailed representation, but rather to convey the sensory and emotion impact of the moment. He wanted to capture the essence of the scene, the way light danced on water, the softness of the atmosphere, and the evanescent quality of the sunrise. This was a departure from the traditional approach, which often prioritized narrative or historical elements in the painting to balance. The resulting artwork was exhibited in 1874 at the first Independent Impressionist exhibition in Paris. The title itself speaks to Monet's intent. He was interested in conveying an impression of the scene rather than a literal depiction, which, when coming to critics, they didn't like it very much. To say it was controversial at the least. Critics use the term Impressionism to mock the perceived lack of detail and finish in the work. However, the artists embraced the term and saw it as recognized for their innovative approach of art. The Impressionists sought to depict the world as they saw and felt it, and they were more interested in the interplay of light and color than in adhering to traditional academic standards. And over time, Impression Sunrise and the broader Impressionist movement gained recognition and acceptance. These artists went to influence the course of art history, laying the foundation for modern art movements that would follow. Impression Sunrise remains as an icon of this movement, symbolizing the shift from rigid academic conventions to a more liberated and personal expression in art. And for you, dear viewer, what do you prefer? The classic approach or the Impressionists?